morning and welcome back. Today I have got something slightly different. If you've seen my video all about my experience with HG, so hyperemesis within pregnancy, then you'll know I suffered twice with both of my pregnancies. The first time with Daisy was definitely more on the extreme side, and the second one, because I knew the signs early on, I got help early on and was able to manage it or cope with it a little more. I had some strategies in place and medication with that one. I want to just say from the start, I'm not a medical professional. These are just my coping strategies. They're by no means fixes for it, because as we know, HG isn't morning sickness. It is an illness that needs to be dealt with medically if it gets to that point. It can be very dangerous, it can be debilitating, and you really do need to be under medical professional care if you feel that you are going that way. But 1% of most women, 1% of women have to deal with HG within their pregnancies. And actually, as time has gone on, I feel that that number is quite low. I feel that there is far more out there that perhaps don't realise that it's HG at the time, but as all the publicity is going around about it, then they're starting to realise and think, yeah, I didn't just have morning sickness, there was definitely more to it. So with both of mine I had medication, although that definitely seemed to ease it slightly, not so much with my first but definitely with my second I was able to manage it. There were still other coping strategies that I needed to put into place. I should say as well that although I said it was severe, I've known people with it much more severe, but just because you know someone who's had it worse, it doesn't mean that you are not suffering. It's all relative, so you know, none of us want to be sick all day and all night long. You know, we just have to find coping strategies. So I have 5 tips. My number 1 is to rest. Don't feel guilty for doing nothing. I used to find the minute I moved was the minute that I needed to vomit again. So resting as much as you can, particularly in that first 16 weeks where it tends to be a lot more severe than further on in the pregnancy. If you're working, be honest with your employer from the start. I know you don't have to do legally, but if you're unwell, they'll have to show you some kind of support, and if that just means having longer breaks, starting a little bit later in the morning, a slower pace, then so be it. At least you're being honest and you're not just going off for 9 months. But rest is definitely key. If you've got children already, then having a rest from them, you needn't feel guilty because you need to. The more tired you are, the more unwell you will likely to feel. Number 2 is to avoid triggers. So triggers could be anything from smells, that's probably the most popular one. I used to hate the smell of meat being cooked, I just couldn't bear it. Cleaning products, eggs, lots of different like countryside smells, anything like that I just couldn't bear. So trying to avoid those situations if possible. When with my first pregnancy, my husband would have to cook all of the meals and all of the food, not that I ate a great deal, but I would have to go upstairs, have to lie down, shut the doors, open the windows while he was cooking because I just couldn't bear the smell. Another one could be light. A lot of people have an aversion to light, a little bit like a migraine. Sound, so if you're in a noisy environment, try and avoid them. Try and keep stimulations down to as low as possible. Number 3 is do anything in your power to get fluids in you. We all know that dehydration is what really does affect the severity of HG. You have to have fluids, particularly to survive and also to keep your baby safe. So things like I would sip tonics rather than water, because I found, I don't know why, it's just a personal thing, I know other people it's worked for as well, little sips rather than drink, like a full drink of water or whatever it was. Personally, I found I couldn't drink much water. I could only drink really bitter things, so like tonics, sodas, lime cordial, and even then it just wasn't great. I found sucking an ice cube was easier because it wasn't such a surge of liquid that my stomach wanted it out as quick as it could. Ice lollies, whatever you find is the best way of getting any fluid into you possible, then you need to do that, and you need to try as much different things as you can. Number 4 was a big one for me, and that's be honest and open. During my first pregnancy, I lied to my employer basically. I just told them that I had a bug, because I figured that it wasn't going to last for a long term, and actually it lasted up until I was about 30 weeks pregnant. And in the end I had to be honest, and I wish I'd done it from the start, because once I told them, the weight that had lifted off, I'm sure it helped. Yeah, and people can help you. I also don't mean just at work, I mean with your friends, with the people around you, your relatives. Be honest and say you're struggling. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. You're growing a human that unfortunately is making your body feel very, very ill. It is best to be honest from as early as you can, because you don't want it to get to a point where further on down the line you've got so bad into such a state emotionally as well as being physical that it's almost a little too late. So be honest with them, and you'll be amazed at the support they could give you. So whether it's taking your child away for a couple of hours, having them overnight so you can get a full night's sleep, which if you can definitely helps, having them make the meals for you and bring them to your house rather than you having to deal with the smells. For me, a big one was having someone just come in and clean my kitchen and bathroom, because I just couldn't bear the smell of cleaning products. So having someone else do it meant that I didn't have to have that direct smell. Things like walking the dog for us, or offering to take you out for a little walk or get some fresh air and distract you. But having those people around you, being supportive, definitely helps. And number 5 is be prepared for all eventualities. So I always carried around with me some bags with no holes in, so essentially sick bags, because even when you felt fine for a couple of hours, it can come on quite suddenly and you don't want to be caught short. Not really caught short, but you know what I mean. And because the embarrassment and the stress of it can give you much more anxiety and make the situation worse. So I would take that. I would take a spare t-shirt. I would take wipes so I can keep myself nice and cool. Yeah, and when I was on medication I would take that with me, obviously. But yeah, my main one is to be honest, and be honest with yourself as well. So if you feel like you're struggling, you're thinking, I don't think this is morning sickness. Not that there's anything wrong with morning sickness, because that is in itself debilitating at times. But be honest with your doctor, because they can help you. There are options out there. They don't work for everybody, but they might work for you. So a bit more of a serious video today, but hopefully one that may help somebody. I will put some of the Hyperemesis helplines down below in the description box, so if you feel like you need more medical advice, it will be there. Thanks. Bye.